Hello, everyone, and welcome to the American Reach Mahjong League. We have a whole host of A2 matches, starting off with a very interesting match here. Ada, who's been just very up and down. Tristan, who had a pretty strong last season. Alec, who's just been kind of sitting there at plus minus zero in a decent position. And of course, the former league champion Eric, who won the inaugural Beta League, is in this match as well. We can look at the stats, and we've now updated them for this season. We're going to have a whole bunch of games. Doesn't tell you that much, but you have two people here with really, really low steal-in rates.
Yeah, we can see Eric and Alec, both players who are known for their cautious play, their defensive abilities from the previous seasons, definitely showing off this season as well with below 7% deal-in rates, as well as some moderate win rates, although those win rates are definitely lower than Ada's, who's showing at 26%.
Yeah, really rough deal-in rate. I think the problem with Ada's stats are you see those big deal-ins, but we have a game starting now. We have Eric, his first dealer. I mean, there is a Pinfu here, but I don't really like much. You see the shapes, but I'm still not seeing any value either. I mean, I'm almost thinking Tanya with a hand like this, as awkward as it is. On the right, we see a Pinfu type hand. Also, Tanya, maybe a Chi Toy, but a long way off. Adora always help. And across the way, speaking of Chi Toy, there are a few pairs there, and the rest of the shapes aren't great, so you're keeping that in mind. And on the left, maybe a 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku, maybe even a Junchan out of it. But the 7-pin, of course, will connect to a potential 5-pin Dora. So I'm seeing a bunch of hands, and I think thinking I have a bunch of garbage in front of me. Like, regardless of who I am, Alec probably has the best hand, but I'm not very happy about that one.
Yeah, and even Eric, who had a chance to make Tanyo, if you could upgrade out of that 1-3 penchant, has now just paired up the 1 so. So it's looking more like you're just building towards Ricci or even a Chi Toy, maybe. You have three
I
pairs.
mean, it's definitely feel like a Toitsu hand. Pairs everywhere, but not really enough for anyone to just sell out on Chitoitsu.
Yeah, I want to see how Alex's hand develops and if Tristan across the table can build into that Sanshoku or draw into some Ankos. Currently with one of the 4 so
Ideally, you
and
draw
several
into four of
pairs.
those. I hear that pays off pretty well if you can get it.
Have we seen a Suanko this season?
I don't think we've seen one on stream.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to
we've
think
had
if
one on
there have been
stream.
any out
I
there.
believe we had one earlier, actually fairly recently, within the past 2 weeks. So definitely a possibility here. We see Tristan make the call.
Just selling out for the toy here. I don't really like this because you've basically killed your value. The only way you're to do anything with this hand is toy and Sananko, and that's going to require you sumoing everything, and you even know what you're going to get with the rest of this hand. I think I just pass on that just and stay close. The problem is it was the last 9 so if you do pass, you're kind of selling out on the Cheetoy type shapes, but I kind of like keeping the 997 because, as mentioned earlier, there's a Sanshoku there. If you're gonna call, I think you go for the 789 Sanshoku.
Well, in the meantime, Alec has found the Ishanten here. Chance for Ricci Pinfu if you can draw the 3-pin. And even Tanya. Unfortunately, the 3-pin kind of being expended here. 2 in the discard pools, 1 in Ada's hand.
2 pairs, and actually, this would not be a bad find away with the Nakasuji 5 so trap.
Ooh. Yeah, even Shampoo not bad with the Nakasuji.
Chi.
Interesting move from Eric. Has drawn into 4 pairs, but chooses to call. Is this a
Oh,
push for
well, we're gonna
K10?
have a Ricci on
Ricci.
the right.
Oh my
Ricci,
goodness.
Dora, potentially Tanyao, and actually really good in the wall. 5 outs left on a turn 11 Ricci is great.
Oh, Ipatsu.
And there it is. I said it was good on the wall, and that would be proof. Ricci, Apatsu, Sumo, Tanya, Dora. No Aura, but still a nice little Mongon to start the game off for Alec.
And Alec will be our dealer moving forward. Hesitating here on the first discard.
Yeah, it's one of those you're kind of looking at this hand and going, I don't like anything. You're tempted by the Chanta, but I don't think that's the route to go. You're trying to evaluate the hand, and the answer is the West just doesn't fit in this hand. So get rid of it, move on. On the right, that's definitely 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku. You'd love to add Ipeko with 2 Dora, but oh, that's an interesting shape. Now, this is going to be an awkward situation because you're likely to end up as a final weight the 1-2-2-3, 1-2-2-2-3, and 4-4. So a double shumpo, but kind of a disgusting one. Across the way, they have a Hatsu pair, floating Dora. Very much looks like a call and go type hand. And on the left, looks like a Tanya with a Dora as well.
And going back to that interesting shape for Tristan, now having drawn the 7-pin connector, you kind of have an overflow of shapes here. I wonder if you sort of trim down away from one of those pairs, dropping either the 2-mon or the 4-so if you're trying to lock in that 1-2-3 shape, or maybe retain a 4-so and maybe turn this into a 2-3-4 Sanchoku, depending on what gets drawn.
Like I said, what you really want is to turn that into an Ipeco and then use your second Dora, but that requires drawing the 3-mon.
Right. You can see a couple other players with the Dora. It looks like Eric, eager to open
I like
up here.
the chi there on that 4-pin. The shapes aren't great. You're running out of time, and you do have a Dora in the hand, so there's a path forward. The 5-8, of course. We know that 5 is very likely to come out, maybe even right here. And now all of a sudden, Eric looks like a very fast hand.
Yeah, 2 calls into it. Ishanten now.
Yeah, and you're also bluffing the Honitsu. I do not like throwing Dora there. I'd just be floating that as just a bit of a surprise later.
Yeah, there's ways to incorporate the Dora into that hand, too. For example, you could be waiting on the 4-mon here.
See, if you had the Dora, you'd be waiting on the 4-mon right now. But you are having a super rough bluff there. You could even have the Dora Tonki here if you'd prefer. I know, Korak's advocating for Dora Tonki. I'm sure you're shocked.
What a surprise. Okay.
Well, upgrades the weight now to a 5-8. Oh, I don't understand this. I'm definitely taking the 5-8 shape there. I guess I just want to throw the Tadashi and give the information here. Just bluffing this Honitsu or even Chinitsu. Well, obviously it doesn't work because we have a Ricci on the right for Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, possibly Ipeco as well.
Yeah, on the 5-so. 2 5-so is the weight. We can see there are 3 left in the wall. Only one of the 5-so in the wall.
If you're Eric, what do you throw here? Everything looks
awkward.
terrible. The 6-mon is the normal throw here, but that's Dora Suji against a pawn that looks pretty suspicious in lower mon.
And of course, that hand had made use of all the lower mon drawn, not indicating a lack of lower manzu. The rest of the team.
Yeah, there's your backfire. That's unfortunate.
The rest of the table not necessarily committing to anything here, just sort of feeling it out.
Yeah, you don't want to give up because it feels bad to give up here, but you have to consider the fact that 3-mon's generally a pretty easy to use Dora. I mean, I see a Furitan on the left for Eric, waiting on the 3-6. Oh, and that's Tempai across the way, isn't it? Yeah, I think you smashed the button, waiting on the 3-6. The 6 is nearly dead, though.
Yeah, Dora drawn. Doesn't matter.
And there's the Sumo on the right. She's Sumo Pinfudora. No aura, but enough to get back over 30k and move to East 3.
Yeah, Sumo knocks down Alec, who had previously been in the lead, so now it's pretty tight in East 3.
And Tristan has a much better hand than we've seen for dealer in any of the previous hands. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao, Ipeco. Distant Sanchoku, but I wouldn't bet on it. But I like those shapes a lot. On the right, great shapes, not much value. You can't use the West as your Yakuhai, so you're trying to figure out how am I going to make something from it. And I'm not really seeing it a distant 5, 6, 7 Sanchoku maybe. But now that 8 kind of fits in the hand already, and we'll just keep it for now. Cross the way, see the Haku call. And that's very much a call and go style. There's no value in this hand, but 1,000 points, 1,000 points. On the left, that is a very interesting hand. That is a Tanya Dora 2, and looking for a lot more.
Yeah, eager to snatch up that middle tile pawn and hope to build around the remaining floaters. And of course, you can certainly accept another Dora here. A little awkward that
Well,
the
what do you think about Sun Shukudoko?
well, I
We're a little bit away from it, but it's something you're keeping in mind at this point. But I think the fastest hand is the one across the way. It is now Tempai waiting on 1-4.
yeah, dealer hasn't quite had draws to catch up to this.
We have Ada, now Ishan 10 as well.
Well, there's pickup.
And
Ishan
what
10
I
for
thought was the
Tristan.
best hand is still just kind of slow compared to everyone else at this table.
Only just now getting there. Oh, but this one will
Oh,
deal in.
that's just going to deal in. But it is just 1,000. You don't feel bad about that. And move to East 4. And this is Ada's dealer turn. Has a whole bunch of even tiles in the hand. When you have that 4-6-8, 2-4, and 2-4-6-7-8, you're like, at least I have the 7, so or else his hand would be irredeemable. But you get a couple draws and it'll all of a sudden look very good. But if you don't get them, the hand's going to get completely stuck. On the right, Pinfu type hand, a couple pairs, but a lot of flexibility to maneuver. Maybe a distant Itsu, but I think if you just take the Riichi Nomi, you'd accept it. The 1-so is a pretty good weight after all. Across the way, we see the 8-so call looking for the Hatsu,
Uh-oh.
and probably just taking anything.
On the left,
And
same
on the left,
situation.
yeah, so about that Hatsu.
This might be trouble.
Well, the problem is neither of them can ever win. You're kind of in a game of chicken here.
Yeah, it's almost unfortunate for Tristan that he managed to find Tempai so early. If he, could switch this around to Toy Toy, perhaps he'd have another opportunity to pull this out.
Well, if you're Tristan, do you just change the hand and go to the Toy Toy if you draw, say, 2-pin?
Sure, I wouldn't be opposed to that. You'd expect the West to come out, and of course, you're anticipating the Hots will come out, although we can see it's paired up. That would definitely be a greedy play.
And we're getting to this point, you're figuring, okay, either someone has a pair or they're both on the wall, and you're hoping it's the second.
In the meantime, this is giving Ada a lot of time to build their hand. And to the right as well, Eric going open for the Itsu. It's Tempai on the 5-pin.
Yeah, just 1,000 points, but Eric is definitely known for being willing to just take that 1,000 and move the game on.
At the very least, it will end the dealership of your closest competition. Ada thinking hard about opening this hand up for just Tanyao. It would be an awkward wait. Only the 6-so would win there, so chooses not to take it as rewarded.
Well, there's your 6-so.
And do you want to take the
That is
Shampoo?
Tempai waiting on the Shampoo, a terrible one with just the 2-so, 1 2-so left.
Yeah, declines the
And yeah,
Riichi.
it takes the Dama. I agree with this. I generally hate Dama, and there are times to do it, but it is incredibly rare.
In this case, there are a decent number of so tiles that will.
There are so many upgrades, especially if you get the Peiko. Like a 5-so draw is amazing for
Even
this
the
hand.
7 is okay. Unfortunately, you've already dropped the 8.
Yeah, I don't really like the 7. Okay, we'll be a little flexible with it. And even if you end up on the 3-so Kanchan, you're fine with that. Do see the shift on the right for Eric into a K10 type shape. Won't be winning the hand in any way. Oh, and wow. All of a sudden things got fast quickly. We have Tempai for Toy Toy on the left. And now this will probably be a Riichi, and it is. For Ada, I think you just reach you the 7-so, don't you?
There it is.
There it is, waiting on the 4-7. Would be Riichi Tanya, which, while not ideal, is still dealer 3,900 perfectly fine.
Yeah, we saw Eric abandoning the Itsu, perhaps worried about the Dora draw.
Well, you also have someone showing 2 calls, and you don't know where most of the Dora are. Oh, and there's the 5. We'll deal into the Toy Toy. But it is just Toy Toy. As even with that locked up Hatsu from the very start, does still manage to win the hand. We move to South Run now, and dealer has a few pairs, but the important one is the South, as we are now in South 1, so that can just be called. And other than that, there just isn't any value. I don't really like the hand, but if the South comes, I think you just take it. On the right, maybe a Peiko, if you draw a 2-pin, would be a really big upgrade to this hand. Ricci, Pinfu, Peiko, Dora. Across the way are the Anko of Hatsu, and kind of outer tiles everywhere else. Maybe a Chanta, but I think it's just going to depend on what you draw. On the left, looks like a Ricci, Pinfu, maybe a Peiko in Mon, and decent shapes. Not great ones, but you're in an interesting situation where there just aren't that many people that can actually use a 5 Sodora.
Yeah, really odd given that that's right in the middle of the suit. Should be the most easily usable tile. Of course,
But
Alec.
a second one is pulled in by Alec, and now also thinking Chitoitsu.
Yeah, with 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs now.
4 pairs, but more importantly, the rest of shapes are pretty bad. If you draw the 8-pin, then you commit to a normal hand. But if you don't, you're keeping the option open, kind of deciding, is there flexibility? How can I move this forward? And of course, if you draw another 5 so, well, then you have an Anko of Dora and don't have to be particularly creative.
Mm-hmm. Haven't seen the South discarded yet, so Eric has not had the opportunity to call. Also, technically Ishan 10 for Sanchoku. Dora 1.
Yeah, cuts the 4-pin from a really nice 4, 5, 6, 7 shape, but locking the Sanshuku, I certainly understand that. Sanshuku Dora. But we'll have to draw one of the 6s.
And with that Sanchoku in mind, you can still open the hand with the South and end up discarding the Formon.
I think you're going to throw the Haku first, but yeah, you can end up throwing the
Right.
Formon and get the open Sanshuku along with your South and Dora. Ooh. Oh, there's a bit of regret for Alec. Tried to go normal hand and immediately gets another pair up. I think you just throw the 7, so it doesn't do anything for this hand. Instead, throws the other 9-pin, kind of converting back towards Chitoy. And when you see 2 pairs that you've cut from your hand, you're floating Chitoy. It's just never fun. Could call this and maybe move towards a Tanyao.
Yeah, that's
But
a
I don't
tough
think it
ask.
helped the shapes up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you just had too many backfires. And that'll happen to everyone. Speaking of Chitoy, there's Nishanten on the left.
Consecutive pairs drawn for Ada.
And passes the Daiming Khan. There's the South. Interesting cutting the 7 mon. I just throw the Haku here. Go for my extra value. Unless you're really reading as dangerous against everyone, which it kind of is with these pawns. But that's kind of the question of what is your play style? How greedy are you going to be? Oh, punished immediately.
Well, we still have Tempai, so as long as the 6-0 comes out, we're fine. Actually, there are 3 6-0 in the wall.
Yeah, you're surprised that shapes this good. Ooh, that's a 5 so. How do you not pwn it? Especially for Tempai. My goodness. Furry 10, though, waiting on the 6. But 6 is a very desired tile all of a sudden.
Eric does not want the wider tile acceptance, would rather hold on to the Dora here. And the player...
Speaking of the 6, there's another one pulled in.
So Tristan really needs to draw the third 6. A 5-8, and you're likely cutting that last 6 into what would be a single roan. As the player to the right, Alec, is Hudi 10.
Yeah. Oh, there's your 6. Tragic, the Sanchiku wasn't there, but you'll still take the 3,000.
Nice pickup for Eric. We'll have a continuance.
And gets a continuance type hand for sure with the Hatsuanko, a Dora, decent shapes everywhere else, but even Chanta if you get the right draws. I'd call this. Yeah, just calling and going. Tuhan, you'd love to figure out a way to get more from it. Of course, Dora pair up is the easiest, but there are plenty of routes still. Now you're even considering, do I dare go Honitsu? And the answer, if we got Tempai problem, I would con that actually.
Really? It is a lot of foo.
Well, it's also important that it came from a player to my right, so I'm skipping 2 people. I'm only giving Alec the extra draw. But beyond that, I know I'm the fastest at the table. The only concern is the 7 mana is probably going to be very closely held, as it is the door indicator.
And unfortunately for Eric, we can see 2 of those door indicator 7-mon being held in Alec's hand on the right.
Which
Extremely
means it is
unlikely to see that
one
come
in the
out.
wall. Yeah, but of course the other option is still pairing up your Dora.
That is the more valuable option. You'd almost prefer it. And I guess if Alec
Almost.
draws a
What game are you
Dora,
playing? You'd absolutely prefer it.
if Alec does draw a Dora in the future, the extra 7-mon might end up coming out. Speaking of pairing up Dora, that's what Ada's done on the left.
Ooh, speaking of pair-ups, there's a
Ooh.
fun one. Now Eric has to think long and hard about this and just throws the Dora.
Will Ada call this? Switch to Tanya? Can't drop the 8-9 and stick with the 5-7.
You could, but it just kills your shapes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have the 3-5, if that were a 4-5 instead of a 2-3-5, then I think I'd do it. But the first attempt is across the way. That is a Richie Nomi waiting on 9-6 so.
3 left in the wall.
Well, you have to just take your temp, I hear, don't you? And we had the Genbutsu 3, but that doesn't matter because the last 3 is locked in the hand. So just drawing to 1-2 for the dealer.
Could switch up
Well,
here.
not anymore. That's a much better way with the 2-5.
That will leave Tristan's hand if drawn.
Yeah, Tristan is drawing to 1-9 so and 2-6 so.
It'll be interesting to see how much Ada pushes with the 2 Dora in hand. Currently has plenty of save tiles.
Honestly, Ada's hand's kind of a mess at this point. If you keep drawing tiles like that 4-pin, then maybe you can think about it. But for now, I don't like this hand at all. Well, okay. Now I think you just shove. Yeah. And Eric detects the 9 so is really bad and just gives up.
Well, we can
We'll
still
wait on the 9 so Tonki, so not giving it up. But trust the Sotagawa over the live 9 so.
at least 8 so Suji.
And good defense here by Eric, reading the pawn and going, wait, why isn't there anything up there? I'm seeing the 7s kind of disappear, but the 8s, there's 1 in the hand, but I only see 1-9. That means it's either in the wall or in the hand.
Sumo.
Oh, but there's the sumo, Richie Sumo. No aura, but that will push Tristan further into the lead. Moves himself too.
Alec's second chance at dealer.
Ooh, well, that's made to order 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Maybe an Itsu and Mon. Oh no! Oh, I hate that play. I don't like that 1-mon cut at all.
Well, if you are a believer in collecting all 3 of the 3s, 3-mon, 3-pin, 3-so, I think Alec wants to be able to call a wider variety of tiles here.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have to shift out with probably the 1-2 so. If you're not cutting 1-2 so, I don't know what your plan is for this hand now that you've got the 1-mon. Of course, you did pair up the 2-mon, so that at least gives you some options.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, cuts the 7 and takes the stronger shape in Mon. But we move onwards. On the right, we have Richie Pinfu Tanya Dora type hand across the way. Richie Pinfu Dora, and on the left, a Richie Pinfu Ipeiko.
Okay, so finally
These, of course, are assuming you actually draw the tiles you're looking for.
Right.
Could even call this. Yeah, we'll just go for the Tanya, maybe Tanya Dora.
And eventually that 1-2 so did get cut. Really normal hands around across the board. Oh, there's a Dora. Okay, which weight do you
Dora.
want?
Okay, ends up with a. I think you have to take the Shump one here.
I like it.
I mean, the 2 looks so cheap on this board, and we know it's very likely to come out from Tristan.
Tanya Dora 1 for 2,900 would be the pickup. Tristan holding on to that Tumon, not willing to give it up just yet.
Oh, well, there's your backfire. But honestly, the 2 looks way better than the 2 Mon looks way better than the 3 pin to me. And we're still basically waiting on when is that 2 Mon cut from Tristan.
And if another player can declare Ricci before that happens, might get scared off of it. Ada incorporates the 4-pin into hand, so that's not coming out.
Yeah, you don't expect to win in the 4 pin here. You're waiting for the 2 Mon. And if you draw the 4 pin, you'll take it. You don't think it's going to come out from anyone. Mike, yeah, there it is. When 2 Mon does manage to win the 2900 with this, Tanya Dora. Not believing in Sanshoku, but gets rewarded. And speaking of rewarded, that's a pretty good starting hand. Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, maybe a 2-3-4 or 3-4-5 Sanshoku in there as well. On the right, you can see the shapes, but anytime I see 3 Penchan, I'm thinking Junchan. I'd probably just call for the Junchan Sanshoku Dora here. But you have to get something you can call, and the first call will be across the way, going Achizuke, potentially waiting for the west. There is a Dora in the hand, and on the left, few pairs, maybe a 4-5-6 Sanshoku. Definitely a 4-5-6 Sanshoku now.
Yeah, it cuts the 5-mon immediately.
I don't really like cutting the 5, keeping the option open for Chi-Toy. I guess I'd normally cut the 6 pin there, because a 5-mon can connect and end up turning into an Ipeco. And you have so many pairs in this hand you don't really want. If you're gonna cut one, I think either the 8 so or the 6 pin would have been better.
Ooh, this is an interesting pickup for Alec. Has drawn really well into a Pinfu, but now pairs with the Dora.
Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao, Dora 2. Oh, there's your Ricci. On the left, we have Ricci, Pinfu, and the expensive end is a Sanshoku on the 6-0. Eric is a believer in Sanshoku.
And no chance for a Shosangan here, so...
And Ada will push the Ishan 10 for 2,000. The 9 months kind of a dangerous towel with that early 5 cut, but we'll see if that comes out. Now, Alex kind of in a weird position because you know you're going to have to either throw the 2 or 3 pin when you get Tempai, but we'll just keep pushing for now.
And you have 2 of the Dora, so it really limits the value that
that's going to be a Chi, and we Tempai across the way for 2,000. Oh, there's the 3, so it draws the cheap end. On the other hand, it's at least 3 so.
Ooh.
It gets rewarded with an Orador, and that'll put Eric back over 30,000 and into second place by 100 points.
Timely, Tsumo.
And let's see. Tristan has 2 Dora, pretty good shapes, maybe a 3-4-5 Sanshoku, but I think you're just going for Ricci here. On the right, maybe an Itsu in Mon. You do have a Dora, maybe a very distant Sanshoku, like 2, 3, 4. Yeah, probably too far off. Across the way.
That Tempai on the left.
Oh, really? Turn 2 Tempai?
It's Ricci it's Ricci North.
Oh, then I take it. Instead, Dama's here. The 1300, though, doesn't help you much. I'm looking to pull in a door or something before smashing the button.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of times...
This is the problem. Dealer's now Ishan 10 and a really good Ishan 10 with Dora 3.
Right. A lot of times, if you're not taking the Ricci, you're dropping the 1-3 Mon. Do you... And retaining the sticky 5 so...
Whoa. Did not take the Ricci Dora 3 for dealer.
I guess save the 1,000.
So Alec does end up winning that hand, but wow, we missed a whole lot of stuff there. I expected 2 Ricci's and got 0.
Well, that sets up Alec in first place for this final round. Ada in last place needs to put a comeback. The only player below 30,000 right now. So right now eating the negative 20 UMA loss.
Yeah, and Ada's already pretty far down there in the A2 division. If you want to pull out a demotion, these are the games you need to at least get something out of.
But we know
And
Ada
this
can...
is
Yeah, Ada can
Ada is
definitely go and
absolutely
run.
capable of, and has a pretty good starting end here. 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4, Sanshoku, maybe a Tanya shift. I'm definitely going Tanya shift. I think the 1-2 pin may be the cut here. It's not the efficient play, but yeah, it's the greedy play, and I like it because you don't really want to be in a pinch on here.
Right.
And if you draw the 4 pin, you have your Sanshoku locked up. And that's just it. Even if you draw the 3, do you feel bad about taking a 4E10 Ricci where the 4 is Sanshoku? I wouldn't.
Exactly.
On the right, a Pinfu type hand, actually already Ishan 10 for Ricci Nomi. Across the way, a Chun pair, so that's probably a call and go, especially already in first place. And on the left, decent shapes, but slower than the rest of these hands by a long shot.
That's a Dora draw, but still isolated in Ada's hand. That's a route to value.
No, now you can just call. You don't have to worry too much about the rest of this hand. But now you just throw the Dora.
That is the most efficient cut here.
I just throw the Dora here. I'd feel disgusted, but I think you just do it. Instead, goes ahead and keeps it. Will potentially end up in a Kanchan 6-0 weight. But the first Tempai is on the right, but it doesn't have a Yaku. It will be a shift most likely towards Itsu. And the first Yaku hand is the one across the way, as it is now Shumpon on 1 pin. And that 1 pin is destined to come out if Eric gets to Tempai.
But yeah, the 1-9 weight, so tricky. You'd expect the edge tiles to come out. Oh, no con, right?
Oh, con?
Yes? No? You're in first place.
Con in first place, and yeah, but it's much more fun to con there.
It is. It really is.
But when you know you're in Tempai. Oh, yeah, this is going to be it. There's the 1.
There's the Tempai then.
Wait. Yeah, that is Tempai waiting on the 6.
The 3 won't deal in, though.
But this is 4E10, so if the 6 were to come out this turn from the dealer, it wouldn't matter.
Ada has 1 chance.
That's not going to be it. And that 9 Mon, the question is, will it ever come out? Because we see it kind of fitting into Tristan's hand here.
Oh, that's Tempai.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's going to deal in.
Dong.
And you just take the 2,000 for sure.
Yeah, we'll confirm second
We'll get
place.
Eric into second place. Ada will be taking the pretty big 4th here, taking the -20. But the big winner is Alec with 20.7. Eric at 9.4. Tristan at 3.5. And Ada with -33.6. This will push Ada down a bit, and you're starting to get a little scared. You still have time, given there are 15 games left in the season. Anytime you're around that -150 range, you're getting a little antsy.
And as we await the score update, the next game will be starting in about 3 minutes.
Wow. There's a nice little graph of the scores here, and it's a jumbled mess except for Ada, who just never really got it together. And I believe that was a Yakitori game. Yeah, and you always hate to see those.
Yeah, the most frustrating games of Mahjong are the ones you don't really get a chance to play in.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something I always feel is, even if I'm dealing in, at least I'm doing something.
Right.
But if you're just sitting there as a spectator watching sumo after sumo, you just want to throw your computer up against a wall.
Well, we'll get a chance to look at the full stats in just a second. So 1 game into things for Division A2. This is the first group to play their 3rd round of matches. And Hadu, Claire, Oliver, Tucker, Rachel currently in the lead in the promotion zone. And these players playing catch-up, Alec and Eric, the closest to moving into the promotion zone. Alec, the only positive player currently. pretty large stretch of points to pick up. At least 60 or around 60 points for Alec, and even more for Eric.
Yeah, we still have so much time here. What you're concerned about is people that get to 100 and then stay up there. And especially when you look at the names of the list: Haru, Clara, Oliver, Tucker, and Rachel. All of them are going to be a little concerning to be able to catch up against. And you have Dustin at 72. So you really see an established top six here, but it's early. The question is, can you bring one of them down, or do you have to jump all the way up? Because getting to 72 points even from a zero, it's certainly doable, especially with all this time. You just much prefer the cut line to be somewhere around plus 40, plus 50.
And historically speaking, as far as promotion is concerned, it's usually around 100 points. If you get to 100 points, you are safe for that, right?
That sounds about right. I'd have to look up some of the previous seasons.
I know 150 is pretty much locked. A lot of times, the season champion in A1 ends up being around 150. At least that was the case for last season. And I feel in A2, it's been similarly. You get to 150, you're pretty comfortably promoting 100.
Well, last season we had 7 promotions because of the sort of awkward positioning. And so the cut line was actually at 33.4, and the first person under was actually in the negatives.
Hmm.
But there are less promotion slots this season, even though A1 was expanded. I mean, they will have 5 demotions, so 5 promotions coming out of A2.
And similarly, in A2, we will have fewer promotion slots, as we are not in an expansion season this time around. So only 5, presumably, promoting. We have
And we
had a
should
few
see
more.
the game starting any minute now.
Yeah, let's hop over there. This time, Alec will be the first dealer. Ada to the right, Eric across the table, Tristan on our left.
Yeah, we're still fairly early in the season, but you're looking at your scores and you're sweating a bit if you're Tristan or Ada. Eric and Alec definitely looking for their paths upwards. And you feel, well, if you're facing people that are down there a bit, you definitely want to try and capitalize on it. But you know they're going to be fighting back as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And we're off. Alex starts his first dealer, and not much here. You see your 4, maybe 5 blocks, but it's going to be reaching Nomi bad weight most likely. You're almost hoping to just pair up a Yakuhai and call. I don't like anything about this hand. On the right, well, what do you think of Honitsu?
I'm a fan. Let's go.
Yeah, 2 Yakuhai, great shapes. I think this is easily the fastest hand. We, without having looked at the others, Crossway looks like a Pinfu type hand. Now, interesting that the South is paralocked in Moshi Moshi here, but because of the call there of the 1-so 8, it doesn't need it. Across the way, maybe an Itsu in pin. Also have potential to pull in the 4 Mandora, but 2 of those 4 Mandora are on the left. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora 2. So you just need to finish those shapes. You can get something to connect that 4 pin or 5, so you're feeling really good.
Ada's already found Tenpai on the 7-so and draws it immediately. So the 3 on
Yeah,
Sumo.
just casually sumo, and that'll be 5,200 before everyone else really has their hands together.
Pon Sumo.
And Dealer here has a pair of East, so I think it's just wow, 3 Yakuhai in the hand with the double East and the White Dragon. And you also can accept the 4-so Dora even. So
well
this hand's
said.
looking great for Dealer.
Yaki 20 last game? No, we're not going to have that again.
On the right, we have Pinfu type hand. You do have 2 pairs you're going to have to deal with, but pretty good overall. Across the way, maybe 7, 8, 9 Sanshuku, maybe an Itsu in So, maybe a very distant Junsham, but that's not probably the way I'd go about it. On the left, though, we have a whole bunch of pairs, including 2 Dora. So the question is, do you want to go Chi-Toy? Do you want to go Tanya? Do you want to go Toy-Toy? There are all sorts of ways to play that.
The 5 Mon, maybe making you even consider the normal hand again. Toy Toy seems a little bit difficult here with so many inner
Yeah, so many mid
pairs.
pairs, especially when you have that 3-4-4-5. I'm definitely leaning toward just Tanyao. Well, now you're Chitoy, Ishan. You cut the 8 pin.
3 Mon is twice cut. And yeah, this is a commit.
I don't see what. Oh, okay, yeah, because the 3-mon's nearly dead.
You do lose some of the flexibility of shifting eventually to a normal hand again.
Right. That's the only downside. I probably cut 8 pin for that reason.
Now, Ada has drawn into the Anko of the Haku, so just looking for a pair at the moment.
Yeah, Headless Ishan 10, and
Ooh,
will
Chun.
be a monster hand already.
Yeah, I like the Chun
Yeah,
as a
once
potential
that is the
pair.
final weight. Doesn't actually need the extra food, though. Ooh, now we have Chitoy Tempai on the left. Kind of a garbage weight. I guess you wait on the... He's waiting on the 5, so I definitely wait on the 8 instead.
Typically, you
Looking
wait
for some
on.
sort of shift, but that 5 is not a tile I want floating in this hand.
Oh, well.
But then again, it could just come out like that. Chitoitsu Dora 2 wins on the Dama, and been unfortunate there for Eric. But that'll shut down that monster dealer hand.
Yeah, certainly, I'm sure Eric was quite surprised to see that dealt in.
Dealer here already Ishan 10 for Richi Dora 2. Could even Richi the 5 Mon waiting on the 2. On the right, we see a Hatsu pair and decent shapes everywhere else. Oh, Khan. Khan's
Fast
into a
Khan.
Dora, so already Mungan Ishan 10. Across the way looks like a Pinfu, maybe Tanya hand, especially got that 1-2. And on the left, we see an East pair and a whole bunch of other pairs, but not much value yet.
Considering opening even, but with the Khan, usually you want to stay closed. There are 2 Dora in that hand now.
We'll cut the 7. Doesn't want to be able to accept the 6 Dora. I don't really like keeping the 2. It's obviously the idea here is keeping the flexibility for the Chitoy, but when you see a dealer con like that, I'm not quite sure Chitoy is the route I want to go.
Boom.
And there's a pawn across the way, and yes, as mentioned earlier, the 1-2 so cut will allow that hand to go Tanyao. It is Ishanten for Tanyao Dora 2. But we have a dealer Richi Dora 3 waiting on Tuso. There are 3 left in the wall. Could see a Chi here for Tempai. You obviously take it, cut the 8, which is perfectly safe. We know that 6 pin is dead, so the question is, will the 8 come? And it is Suji to the Richi, so it very well could come out.
Ooh, do you want to push this 3?
I think you have to with 2 Dora, don't you?
That is a good point. You are fighting against 4th place, though. Yeah, it does come out.
We'll throw the 2 first, but that 8 pin is looking very dangerous in Tristan's hand right now.
Can Tristan find Hatsu Hatsu?
You can see the hesitation. Well, it does. Tanya Dora 2. And Alec pulls in 4,900 from that. You said that tile looked very dangerous, just the way the hand developed. It was, there were ways to avoid it, but they were really hard. And we move to East 4. Dio has a Richi Pinfu Dora type hand. On the right, there's a Hatsu pair. Decent shapes everywhere, but not too much value. I guess you have a Dora, which, well, okay. Now I take everything back. With that 8-mon draw, all of a sudden that looks like a great hand on the right. Across the way, this is a Richi, maybe Pinfu Dora. I guess there are a couple Itsu options, but they're so far off. And on the left, that is already Ishan 10 as well. Could end up with the Suji trap if you Richi on the 4-mon for a 1-pin 1-mon weight. And we'll set up that trap right now.
Oh, that would be gorgeous. We saw hesitation. Alec did not want to call the Hatsu, but decided speed was the way to go.
Well, maybe or maybe not. The question is, you go Honitsu with this.
Ooh.
9 doesn't help your shapes, though. And Ada now cutting the 6-7 is looking for
Boom.
the Sananko. And we see, ooh,
Sananko or maybe even more.
Sananko, or yeah, Ishunten for both Chitoi and Rienshunten for Suanko.
Boom.
And just going for Toy Toy now.
Toy Toy, Sananko's still in the cards.
Yeah. See, I wonder if you I wonder if you call the 1 pin and then cut 1 mon. Do you want to go Honitsu instead? We do have a Tempai on the right, waiting on the 7 so Dora Tonki. Can't wait on the Chu, and that would be 4E10.
Yeah, this weight though, you can switch up to any Mon weight or honor weight for the Honitsu instead, which is the same value.
All comes down to how scary is that 7 so, and it looks much scarier now. You're like, what is he calling with?
Boom.
It's going to be a Dora so often.
Either Ishunten.
5 mon wouldn't actually speed that hand up, so I agree with passing. It is still not technically Tempai.
A multitude of ways to draw into Tempai, though.
Yeah, ridiculous number here. That's not one of them, though. Could switch the 2, but I don't like the 2. Yeah, it's a pretty bad weight.
Should be noted, Toyman currently Tempai. Here's a Tempai.
Well, there's your
there.
Tempai. I think you just smash the button.
Right.
Riichi, Haku, Dora, you have tons of Fu here. It would be a 9600 Roan. And that's without any sort of Aura or Ipatsu or Sumo.
Alec wants nothing to do with the Stealer Reach, gives up the Tempai.
The problem is
Ada.
there just aren't that many winning tiles left. The 6 is dead, and the 9 has 2 left. There's one of them, though. It is by the Dora, and upper so look terrifying. Man, Ada is very disciplined full there. You feel bad because you're sitting at your overall league score, but those are the types of plays that you will thank yourself for making later in the season.
Eric found the shift, by the way, to the Honitsu Toy, was afraid of the 9-pin. Unfortunately, there are no 9-pin to win on.
Yeah, well, now you set the Suji trap, and he probably thinks that 9-pin's going to come out, but it won't. There's the Sumo, and I guarantee Eric's going, oh, that's where my 9-pin
Yes.
were. Riichi, Sumo, Haku, Dora, no Aura, and Tristan does pull in the Mongon and into first place.
And now we have 3 players over 30,000 again in this game. This time Eric in the back foot.
Yeah, I have Dealer here with the double East. You can also accept a Dora in this hand. Shapes aren't great, but they're fine. You're just calling and taking your 2 on, or maybe 3. On the right, we see a Hatsu pair. Similarly, shapes aren't great. You're probably taking your 1 on and moving on. Across the way, that's a much more normal hand. Riichi, Pinfu, maybe more. I kind of want to cut the 1-2 pin here. Just go for the Tanyao, especially if you can draw like 6-so or 8-so. Get a Dora in there. And on the left, you have a few pairs, maybe a Peiko in So and Riichi Pinfu.
Now a couple of different options for Ada's hand. Could draw into that 6-8 so as mentioned for the Pinfu and Sanshoku, but could also potentially draw into Peiko here.
Yeah, a great draw at that 6. Very wide Ishunten now. And that's not one of them.
Could float some options with a 7 so discard. Or just throw it back.
Yeah, I'm fine with either of those options. You're a little concerned, especially if you draw like 9 so later, that if you cut the 7, you could be waiting on that Dora Kanchan, which isn't great.
Now another pair for Eric. Could turn into Peiko there as well.
Ishunten on the right for Hatsunomi.
Boom.
And now Tempai for Hatsunomi. Oh, well, there's your 8. Yeah, I agree with just cutting the 8 pin here. I guess you could also cut maybe like 6 pin,
Yeah, 6 pin from the
but you don't mind
Sanchoku
throwing the
feels
Dora
nice.
either.
There
Well,
you
you just
go.
Ricci. Yeah, you just throw
Ricci.
the Dora, say forget it, doesn't matter. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao, maybe Ipeco. Well, I guess it can't be Ipeco, can it?
4
Oh, well, the cheating 2, Genbutsu will deal into 1,000, but we'll shut down the Ricci. Yeah, the 7 pin had been called, so it's not particularly useful, but will be a 1,000 win as Alec retakes the lead. Alec has a great starting in here. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya Dora is deal. You can't ask for any more than that. On the right, 79 Sunshoku. Not much else really, but the shapes are there. Across the way, you see the Sha and Hatsu pairs. Those are both Yakuhai. The question is, can you also add Honitsu to this, or maybe some Dora, make this Mongon? Because you're sitting at 16,000, you know you need something. And I think Eric's probably throws the 5-so here and tries to brute force decide which Honitsu you go for. Instead throws the A, going a little more conventionally here. I think I like a little bit more greed, but I guess the South would be another Yakuhai if you can draw it. On the left, I mean, it wants to be a 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku so badly, but it's just not there. You do have the option to shift to either the 1, 2, 3 or the 2, 3, 4 Sanchoku, depending on what gets drawn. Well, now you have a second door. You don't have to worry about either of that. Never mind.
Just build normally at this point.
I think I would have cut the 9, 8 instead, and kept my option open to still end up with the 1, 2, 3 or 2, 3, 4 Sunshoku. Instead, keeps the Penchon. Will need the 7 mon to fill it though.
Yeah, maybe Tristan's thinking about the possibility of an Itsu, although that would usually require discarding your second Dora, so a little bit of a tough ask. Speaking of Sanshoku, by the way, on the right, Ada now Ishanten for the 789 Sanshoku.
Well, there we have Eric is now pulling in another Yakuhai. So it could potentially be Hatsu Sha Chun.
And Ada goes open for it, so Tenpai waiting on the 8 pin.
Would just be Sanshoku, but good enough. Could see a call here, but wouldn't really do that much for this hand.
G
We'll go ahead and take it though. I think the 8 mon is the normal efficient cut here, and there it goes.
This way you can call the 6 mon and also the 5 mon, as well as the 8 pin.
And it gets rid of your Atsuzuku, which is always your big concern in hand like this. But there's our Ricci on the left, is on the aforementioned Penchon weight, needing the 7 mon for Ricci Door 2.
Alec.
And I think that's the end of it for Ada. Draws Dora on Ipatsu and says, nope.
It's going to be so hard to even switch this around to a workable hand. You'd have to be going for Tanyo. Seems a bit too tough of an ask, so just folding out.
Now we see Alec is now working back towards Tenpai.
Three 7-so cut now might encourage the upper so to come out, and Ada does drop the 8, and presumably the 9 to follow. That also gives Alec the opportunity to discard his 6-so.
Ooh, interesting choice. So 2's pretty safe. I just throw it back, yeah. And these are the awkward position for everyone at the table except for the Riccias. You kind of want to push, but the question is how dangerous and aggressive is every one of them? You have to reevaluate every single turn. Could make a call here for Tenpai.
G
I probably would. I will, waiting on another 6 mon to come out right now, honestly. The Haku is the correct discard. Question is, will it still be the discard 3 turns from now?
Sumo
But doesn't matter. There's your Sumo Ricci, Sumo Door 2.
Nice
No
Monk
Aura, and Tristan will jump out to the first big lead, really, of this series.
Yeah, especially because the dealer who ate the Oyakaburi was in first place prior to that sumo.
And dealer here has, well, you think Ihonitsu? I probably would. You go for a conventional hand, great, but Honitsu, Dora, Haku seems good enough for me.
We'll go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and
have
get
to
a
get a refresh in here.
It looked like there were a couple players out there with honor pairs. Oops, let's go here.
On the right, well, it's an honor pair, but it's not a particularly useful one. Just looking for the Riichi Pinfu across the way. That is a useful honor and is now being called for the Hatsu. The East won't do you any good, but you can still take the Rian Shunten here. That's very much a I'm in first place and I don't care what anyone else does type play. On the left, that's a pretty good hand, except for that one Mon pair. So you're almost thinking Chitoi with it as it is. There are
リーチ
also possible shifts to Ipeco, but the first attempt by his dealer, Riichi Pinfudora, waiting on 4-7. The 4 is 3 left, and the 7 is 2 left. So actually a really good weight.
Yeah, it feels like it's Ada's turn to win something big. There's another 7
Well, there's
drawn.
one of your 7s.
And
yeah, we'll just fold out here. Could have pushed the 1, but didn't really feel like it.
could still push the Easts or the 1 pin. Should say a 4 can get drawn.
I think I like pushing the 1 pin there. I feel like you really need to win hands at this point.
Yeah, I guess if you use the 1 pin as a pair, the West can come out, draw maybe into
Yeah.
Ipeco and the Monzu.
Well, yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking is the Peiko and Mon. If you've got the 1 pin and the 5 pin, you could make it. Instead, you're kind of backing yourself into Chitoi or nothing. But it's certainly a very good case for just folding against dealer Riichi.
Yeah, you
Across the way, though,
Sumo.
doesn't matter. There's your Sumo, Riichi, Sumo Pinfudora. And the Aura and Ada is now at 40,000. We have a fight for first.
Yeah, 600 point separation. Look at this
And
high five.
pairs everywhere, but I don't think that's what you're really worried about because one of them is Dora. I'm just calling anything I can get. The only concern is, wow, is if you call and then draw 9 so, then you're very sad very quickly.
Just draw Ankos, that solve all your problems.
As I said earlier, I believe 4 of them is worth a decent amount of points.
ポン
But there's your pawn. We'll just take the Ishunten here. Going to be hard to fill in the 6-7, but you could end up cheating twice and then cutting the 4 so. On the right, well, that hand's garbage. That is kind of irredeemable garbage. I hate everything about that. Across the way, well, okay. Now you are Ishunten for Riichi Pinfudora. And on the left, looking Itsu in Mon, also have a Dora as well.
I so badly want to see a 3 pin pickup for Tristan before he finds Senpai. Give yourself a chance for Tanya. Oh, well, never mind.
リーチ
Well, the question,
Oh,
takes the
greedy.
Sanshuku, Riichi Sanshuku waiting on the 8.
From
Could
this,
have taken the Pinfu, and I think the Pinfu is the normal play here since you already have a Dora. If this were just Riichi Sanshuku, then sure.
Mhm.
But now the question is, will Alec get greedy? And the answer is not yet. But you look at this situation, 8 is the one that has to push here. Even in first place, like, can you discard anything safely from this? I guess the 6 mod, but that destroys your hand if you take it.
Yeah, this is your battle for first place right now.
Well,
Surely,
you know the 2's safe. You
surely
know,
not a con,
I
right?
would not con this. Okay, we'll get rid of the 4 for now.
Interesting, like the 4's not safe here. So maybe...
Well, that's very much an if I draw a 6 or a 7, I'll take my con and good weight. Because if you do get an Onko, then the con would boost you to 40 Fu. But if you were to pawn, say, the 7 pin, it wouldn't matter because you're Mongun either way. Well, This is your situation. You have the terrible shape. Goes and takes the con. And wow, now on the left, 2 Dora, 3 Dora, 4 Dora. I'll get there eventually. And that will certainly make things interesting for everyone at the table. But that 6-7 is dead for Ada.
Yeah, that's shame to reveal a tile that you can't use in your hand as Dora. Also,
That's always the problem with double Shumpo near Dora, is this can happen a lot. You have to figure that people have it in their hand. If it's not in their hand, it's 100% of the wall. Uh-oh, that 3-so deal in.
It's the cheap one, though.
It is the cheap one, and when you're in first place, you shut down the really scary dealer, the really scary Ricci against your dealer turn. You're not thrilled with it, but you're not like mad at it at all. Still in a very close fight.
So we can see this high pie is going to be exciting to look at once we get around to it.
I start with Eric, and that is a Tanyao Dora type hand. Maybe Itsu now. On the right, double Yakuhai pair with the South and Haku. And oh my goodness, look at all these honor pairs. Speaking of pairs, Tristan does have a few of them. I count 4. So do you just go Toy Toy with a hand like this? It would qualify as Toy Toy Dash. Across the way, we see the Hatsu pair. Decent shapes everywhere, but that just seems like a call and go hand. Get to your 30K and move on. And on the left, Ada, even being in first place, is just like, this is fine. I just call for your 1 Han in first place going into all last. And there it's going to be. You could get greedy, but there's no reason to. You should. Ooh, I think I just take the Tempai here because you can still call the South. You can call the South and just switch your Tonki. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, here you get to incorporate the Dora by Chi, but will Alec really drop the Dora?
Yeah, that's the only difference, is you can Chi the Dora.
More pairs for Alec, and maybe...
Well, I think you just Chi that and have to take the Tempai. I could even pull if you want to get super greedy. But yeah, I like the Chi. But you don't know that your weight is now completely dead, as Tristan has all of them.
Of course, the
5 and the South.
Champon does give you the opportunity to switch to, should you draw 4 or 6, to a nice Yamen weight.
Tempai on the right. The South will never come out, but the White Dragon almost certainly will. We see a call by Eric going for the Itsu to Dora, maybe even potentially Tanya, but I think Itsu is more likely. Ooh, and the Hatsu is not called by Alec.
A committal to the Chitoy. Ishanten now. Eric desperate to put this Tanya together.
You just have to get something. And you're looking at these shapes and going, I know I'm behind. Come on, you stupid tiles, give me something.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Oh, that's not the one you want. We'll deal into the 1,000 points and just couldn't pull it together, but we're in South 4. And dealer has not much.
After the fireworks of the first few hands, it's been a lot of cheap hands to shut down the large ones.
Right. Dealer does have a floating Hatsu Dora, but the rest of the hand's kind of rough. On the right, you really want to go Honitsu with this. The question is, will the tiles let you? If not, you're thinking Itsu and Mon. Across the way, I don't know, Tanya, kind of the same situation. You have that floating Dora, but the rest of the hand isn't great. And on the left, that is the good hand. That is Honitsu, Chun, maybe some Dora. Oh, ooh, passes the Chun.
Chitoy, possibly?
Chitoy, I guess you could. Chitoy, Honitsu, Dora 2, Sumo would be 16,000.
Maybe because the Chun came from the left, values the draw over the call, assuming that the other Chun will come out eventually.
It can also be in the dead wall.
Yeah. Another pair up, though. An interesting scenario for Alec, who really desperately just wants 1,000 points here, had drawn a ton of Mon tiles to start with, but was not
Gee.
going to commit to some type of Honitsu Chinitsu hand. Oh, there's another pair for Eric.
Okay, works it towards
Ishanten.
Ishanten for a monster hand. And if you're Ada, it's time to give up on that Dora. This is kind of the problem with the calls. You've locked yourself in a tie now, and unless it's a direct hit, which would be a tie, you won't be able. Oh, ooh! Now if you're Eric, you're wondering, can I get more out of this?
Yeah, the one so kind of makes sense because it's been twice cut already. Hard to make a pair out of that. And you can call. Let's see.
Just stuck on that Hatsu.
West is once cut, north once cut. Hatsu, we can't see any. There's one in Ada's hand and one in Dealer's hand.
Pong.
And neither player really wants to discard that. Ada holding on to this as long as possible.
Probably longer than possible. You have to figure someone has a pair by this point. Ooh, that is Tempai on the right, but you don't really want it. You want to turn it into Itsu. You
Come.
could just Ricci for the... Oh, okay. We see a con, doesn't help. Interesting that the 9-mon was discarded. I might have you... Oh, okay, well, there you go. Just draw the 4. There you are,
Ricci.
Itsu,
Dama.
Tempai, waiting on the 5-pin Tonki.
Now we know
Ricci,
Eric.
Sumo, Itsu would be first place, I believe.
Oh yeah,
Pong.
Eric just has to push. Doesn't matter.
yeah.
And if you're Ada, you'd... Oh, no. I think if you're going to do that, I think you just jam the Dora, because now your 1,000 points is good enough.
The Hatsu doesn't even
And
win on
if
a
you're
discard.
Tristan
So.
here, you know Ada's Tempai, so you have to figure a way yourself.
Oh, for that 5-pin.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Eric dodges.
Dodges it for now. Well, there's a 5.
Only one left in the wall for Alec.
Ooh, yeah, and Tristan just gives up, says first place
Yeet.
isn't worth this. Oh, there's going to be... Oh, wow! What a read!
Oh, but Alec with
But
the
it
sumo.
doesn't matter in the end. Oh my goodness. An amazing play there by Eric to dodge the 5 deal in, and instead Alec just draws the last one himself.
And
And
steals
that's going to be
first
the
place.
comeback. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Alec
Oh,
wanted more than
Alec.
just 30,000. Found the path to Mongon Sumo. And the first
Picks
place
the
overall.
correct Tonki and gets that first place with plus 23. Ada with 11.9 getting first place stolen from underneath her feet. Tristan with a pretty good third place at plus 6.8. If you're third, you'll take that every time. Eric just, so rough. And especially that last hand, I feel for him because he made just a spectacular defensive play and it just didn't matter.
Yeah, I need to take lessons. Alec, please teach me. How do you choose the right Tonki in that situation? I need to learn. But that is the 2 games from A2 Table 3. I believe they are done for the evening, and so we'll be able to switch to another table shortly. Which one's coming up? It looks like...
Looks like A2-1 is starting and started 10 minutes ago. So we're good to go.
So we can hop in midway there.
Which is Tucker, Dustin, Lucas, and Matthew. Oh, and then Tristan, I'm being told, fell to third, not to second place.
Yeah. Ended up, as dealer, losing by just 100 points to Ada in the end. Unfortunately, the dangers of being South 4 dealer, that sumo really hurts.
Well, knew the win condition and played to it. Just had to draw the correct Tonki, but I guess the 5 was the right one.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get the name switched for you in a second, but in the meantime, we'll hop right in.
Okay, Ennui is dealer. It says East 1-2, so Ennui at least did something, as you can see from that score. We see a Ricci across the way. That is Ricci, I think just Ricci Nomi with a whole bunch of foo. Yes, it is. And on the right, was thinking Tanya, but it's not really there. And so Ennui may just fold out here. And does. On the left, you have that 3 pin, so you're thinking, can I make something from this? The answer is probably not. You have that extra 1 so that's floating in 2 hands, kind of locking them down at this point. That is Dustin on the right. Across is Lucas, and on the left is Matthew.
I'm sure Tucker was so tempted by having drawn that second Dora, which would have been 4 Dora in hand total, but just not enough.
Yeah, the problem is the rest of the hand. You look at the Dora and drooling, and then you look at the rest of the hand and go, oh. Kind of a rough situation for Dustin here, because nothing's that safe.
A lot of the so tiles have been discarded or are being held in hand, so it does find the safe 6 so.
Right, and with the 6, that probably means the 3 is going to be safe, so probably escapes at this point. Interesting, could have even called the 2, but considering nothing else in there. Oh, no! Deals in on the 1. It is Ricci Nomi and Nora, so 1600, not punished that much for it.
Well, Ricci with a 3 pin in hand would have been worth a lot.
No kidding. 3 3-pin indicate 3 3-pins.
I'm just imagining a world where Ennui could have
Dora.
like built into a Chi toy. Dora 2 turned into Dora 6.
Yes. Well, let's see. Dustin is dealer in East 2 and has a pretty standard Ricci Pinfu hand on the right. Looks like a Ricci Pinfu hand. You also have that Dora floater across the way, Haku Call, and not much else. So just trying to get your 1 Han and done. On the left, Ricci, the question is, can you do something with that Dora? You have a random floating 9 Mondora. Sanjuku's not going to happen, so the question is, what can you do with the rest of this hand? Well, I say Sanjuku isn't going to happen, and then now there's a distant chance at a 4-5-6. But probably just a Ricci Nomi, maybe even Tanyao, if you cut that 9 pin. And dealer's hand is just kind of stuck. Now you have that overlap, needing the 6 pin twice. You have Kanchan everywhere. It's not great. The fastest hand looks to be the one across the way. The problem is it has 2 pairs in it. So unless you fill one of those 5s, the 5 mon or 5 so, the hand's going to get stuck. But the advantage of 5s is you can draw the 4 or the 6 for good shapes or just bad shapes, even with the 3 or 7. But does get the other shape filled in, and is now Shampon on the aforementioned 5 so 5 mon.
And we'll likely be looking to switch that weight up. In the meantime, Dustin finds a way into Ishan 10.
Yeah, it would be Ricci Nomi unless you can pull the 6 pin in, though.
Did manage to fill in 1 Kanchan. Perhaps another is possible, except for the fact that we can see it is not.
No, that's a problem, is especially when we're waiting on like a 6, you figure it's really bad in the wall. You don't expect it to be that bad. Well, now Matthew does, at least in theory, have a Nakasuji waiting on the 5 mon, but I don't think anyone's particularly worried about him at this point. Yeah, you just see the Dora casually yeeted into the player with 2 calls, so that kind of tells you what the rest of the table thinks.
No concerns in the world. And yeah, Dora not really playing a big factor in this hand, which tells you that Matthew's probably not got a lot here.
Each.
Well, there's your Ricci. This is Ricci-Nomi waiting on the 6 pin. They are all in Ennui's hand.
Does Ennui
If you're
have a
Lucas,
path?
you're kind of wondering, what do I do with this? It's kind of hard to fold. I guess the 6 is Nakasuji. And similarly, does Matthew push the Nakasuji or take the better weight? Takes the better weight with the 4-7, but did have to throw the 5-so, which looked kind of bad.
Yeah, no indication at all that that was going to be safe.
Now I have an Ishunten on the right for Chitoi. Yeah, that 6 mon, which is Dora Suji, so it never feels good and says, yeah, that's a bit too much for me.
Can draw back into Tempai with another Mon pickup.
Well, there's Tempai on the right. Would have to push probably the 5 or the 5. Instead goes with the 7 waiting on the 5.
Interesting. Maybe saw the last game with Alec winning on that Tonki 5 pin and says, I can do that too. Fortunately, this game cannot.
2's pretty safe here. I only have 2 players Tempai with Dustin and Lucas. And East 2-1. Dustin is still dealer and has a Chun pair. Can accept a Dora, but you look at a hand like this, you're like, how do I get it to Honitsu? And the answer is you're going to need to call because that 8-pin Dora is going to be a choke point for the hand. On the right, we have a south call, a south pair, and you're also thinking Honitsu with that. Across the way, it is a 789 Sanshuku building, also potential Itsu in So, but kind of hard to use everything. On the left, look at the Tanya type hand, distant 567 Sanshuku.
So Dustin drawing the pin tiles, Lucas the Mon tiles. You might see a call here, and it is taken. Ishunten now for the Honitsu. And Dustin grabbing the pin tile. On the left, it's Tucker with the So tiles. But Tucker and Matthew kind of sharing that.
And Tucker says, I don't really want to mess around with this. I'll just go for my Tanya. But it is still Rian Shunten, so a long way off. Could Chi the 7, but I don't think it helps that shape much.
Yeah, you'd almost rather just
No,
call
you're
the
really
2.
looking to pawn, yeah.
Chi.
That's an easy Chi. Ooh, interesting. Taking the 4-2 cut.
This does give you a slightly better weight if you draw the 5-8, so.
Of course, you can always pair up the 2 if necessary.
Mm-hmm. South yet to be seen. Oh, and there's a 3-mon. Well, you wish you had the 2-4 back.
Yeah. And that's going to be what happens. Oh, this should be cheap. Getting rid of the 4-6 here is a pretty big shape upgrade, and it is called. But I don't like that call. Let's see. So what would have been the difference?
It still works.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore.
The question is, what do you
I mean,
want
that's
your
an
final
easy
weight to
call. You absolutely call this. The question is, what? Yeah, do you want to get greedy waiting for the south?
be? Do you want to even go Chinitsu and be super greedy? Still undecided. No, takes the wider weight, although...
Well, is it a wider
yeah,
weight?
we can
I don't
see
think
4
it
of those
is.
tiles.
Yeah, it's actually not any wider.
It's 4 versus 4. And you'd expect the South to come out eventually, although you might be wondering why you haven't seen it yet.
Well, you're wondering if Dustin has it.
Exactly. Can often happen in the
Because
Honitsu versus Honitsu,
you're
right?
not the only Honitsu on the board. So that's your most likely culprit here.
And now tiles are
You're
starting to
still
get
seeing
scary.
honors. Yeah, honors are starting to pour out. So if you're Lucas, you're actually feeling pretty good here. You're expecting the next tile to come out will be the South.
Tempai, across the way for Matthew.
Ricci.
Does declare the Ricci. 3 comes out. Could be called by Tucker here if he feels comfortable pushing the 9. And it is Suji.
Suji, I wouldn't be worried about. The only concern would be the hand on the right, but that can't be it because it'd be 4-10.
Exactly.
The 9 is actually 100% safe.
Yep. We have the 4-7 pin weight. Oh, there's a 7.
Boom.
That will
Well,
do it.
there's your win. It's not great, but you'll take 4,300. The Bakahon, because the saying is only idiots go for Honitsu Nomi, but good enough to pull in the 4,300. So feeling pretty good there. And rewarded with a hand that has shapes but no value, although that one so immediately makes this a 1-2-3 Sanshoku. So I think the hand is pretty clear. Of course, could be shifted with a Dora. On the right, Pinfu type hand, also floating Dora across the way. I don't know, Junchan?
Yeah, that's ugly.
You're kind of confused. When I look at a hand like that, I'm confused by the 6-pin. Everything else makes sense. Yeah, just selling out now.
And we saw
Especially
earlier,
with the 6-mon cut
yeah,
earlier.
the same decision made with the 6-pin and the 6-mon.
Yeah, just a Junchan. Not even going to try and think about it. And on the left, shapes are great. Kanchan, 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 Ryankan. You do have the pair of North, which is your Yakuhai, but the rest of the hand is... Ugh.
Yeah, and the hand across Anwi's hand, an example of, typically when you have the 6-9 in hand, you'll discard the 9 because the 6 can accept more tiles. However, with the rest of your hand looking extremely unlikely to build into a normal hand, chooses to discard the 6 instead. And now you have that choice again. Do you want to accept a better shape, that being the 6-7, or stick with the Junchan?
Interesting choice by Lucas. Gets a backfire here. Could have cut the 5, so kept the option open to keep the Sanshoku and still accept Dora. Instead, takes the more direct Ishan 10 and punished immediately. On the right, 2 Dora, so you're not really thinking about anything other than how do I get to Tempai. And the shapes are great, but they're just not coming together. You definitely need to force so. If you can call and just go Tanya, you're feeling great. But without it, you're just stuck.
Stuck to the whims of the wall. Unfortunately, not drawing a middle Pinzu or middle Manzu just yet.
Dustin's starting to get something. Instead, goes ahead and cuts the first pay. Going for a Tanyao.
Okay.
Could have been Tempai, but instead a pretty nice Ishan 10 for Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao.
Yeah, with the
You
7.
draw, say, the 7-mon.
Each.
Well, okay, you're just going to take the Ricci Tanya waiting on 6-7. And the 6 is completely dead. And there's our Tempai on the right for Ricci Dora 2.
Dealer unwilling to push 5 so or 2-pin 2-pin.
And then immediately finds out the 5 is safe the next turn. It happens all the time, and it's always frustrating. Like, I can't really push this, and then immediately it comes out and you go, oh, I feel dumb.
Yeah, but can you afford to deal into 3rd and 4th or 4th place, or even both at the same
Double
time?
road, yeah. Oh, Khan. It is still a Ricci Dora 2. And the 3-mon adds nothing to any hand except potentially dealer, who seems to have basically given up anyway.
But that will reveal some extra Uda. Should the winning tile be found. Only 3 of the 3 6-pin left for Matthew.
Yeah, absolutely just pass this. Yeah, you don't want to give that last draw to Michael. That can end very badly as a dealer. But we'll see 2 players Tempai, as no one really wants to fight 3rd and 4th, who move to East 4. Dealer has Ricci Pinfu and a Dora, maybe an Itsu in Mon on the right. Maybe a 6-7-8, 79 Sanshoku. Hand's pretty bad though. Across the way, looks like a Pinfu hand, maybe a Tan. You do have a Dora, and on the left a Hatsu pair. And the question is, can you turn this into Honitsu? Or maybe Honitsu and Chanto.
Can you draw a Dora as well? That might change the plan. There's a Hatsu pickup on the right.
Well, that's going to be kind of rough because that means you have two people who are going to get stuck on it. Well, now if you're Lucas, you're kind of thinking Honitsu Chitoi.
Yeah, we saw Eric pull out the same attempt.
Could just
Boom.
call this, though, and will.
Matthew's hand continues to improve, but all of these Diamond shapes overlapping 3, 4, 6, 7 in the Mon and So suit.
And you see Onwe taking a call here, but anytime you're calling a terminal like that, it should alert the table. And we know that Hatsu is never coming out. Dealer slowly developing towards a 3-4 Sanchiku or even potentially a Peiko. Neither that 7, so you're not particularly happy with it because you're likely going to have to go throw the 6-0 Dora. And throwing 6-0 Dora into that hand on the left is very scary.
Yeah. Interesting.
Instead says, yeah, let's not do that.
We saw Dustin across the table choose to throw a 9-mon pair from the hand. So once again, opting for the Tanya route seems to favor that.
Oh, there's your backfire for Michael. Draws another 7, so. But you just really don't want to throw Dora here because there's a very good chance Lucas has a pair. Instead, oh my goodness, look at that his hand is developing now.
Oh, it's turning into Toy Toy Yakuhai Yakuhai, but
instant chi. This should be an instant chi and get rid of the 6-7
Chi.
because it's so bad right now. Oh no!
This necessitates discarding more Sozu. Now, you'd expect Monsu to come out of the hand. But
okay, gets away with it, but I think that was pretty clearly a mistake.
It definitely
just seems
a
like
risk.
Probably clicked the wrong tile or the wrong chi.
And that's certainly possible. F5 was in the middle, right? So a couple different options popping up. Wow, no fear. And this is Tenpai.
Tenpai there on the left. Of course, we know the Hatsu were never coming up. There is 1 9-so left.
And this is a very late overflow
Honitsu,
west.
Toy Toy. And I guess that's it. It's so close to Hanroto, but it's not. And Ennui says, I really want the value here, but I don't believe it. So just gives it up.
Seem to have had no calls on for the first Haku. Does manage to call the second.
And says, okay, fine, you'll tempt me.
Can you afford to discard the
south?
south?
Tenpai across the way, and it's going to be a deal in right there. Tanya Dora, and the person that we thought was the furthest behind manages to win the hand there and get back over 30,000.
A Tanya push ended up paying off. Tanya did end it all.
Ennui is dealer here. The shapes aren't bad, but there's not much value here. Maybe a distant 3, 4, 5, or maybe even 79 Sunshiku, but really just anything is fine. On the right, a whole bunch of pairs and an Onko even. So yeah, just going Toy Toy, especially the East. That's one where you may call it and go, wait, is it still East round? Oh, I guess it's not. Well, it doesn't matter because you're calling anyway. Across the way, you can see the shapes. They're not great, though. No value. On the left, you have a south pair and can pull in a Dora. Actually, already Ishan 10 for just Rishi Dora.
Of course, finding that Dora going to be a little bit difficult here. Now, if you're Dustin, do you snap call a 6-0 if it comes out?
If you're Dustin,
do you retain that
probably.
Onko hidden in hand?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends when. Because there's a huge advantage to not giving the information to the table. But on the other hand, you're upgrading to Hanemon. A bit of an unfortunate backfire cutting the 9-so. I would have preferred maybe the 9-so to the 2-so, even with one cut. That was the thinking, but instead, still looking for that 5th pair.
We see the tile lighting up. It is Tempai on the left for the 6-0, but Matthew declines the Ricci here.
Yeah, wanting more value, but I don't know how you're going to get more value.
リーチ
Because, like, the South comes out, what good is it? And takes the Karagiri Ricci. Says, okay, I guess it didn't work. So, Ricci Dora, there's only one 6-0 left.
We'll see if the wait one turn pays off. And the rest of the table, see how they react.
Well, Dustin has an incentive to just push. Even if you're dealing into most likely a Ricci Pinfu is what you would expect in this situation, that you should be pushing almost anything, especially if you get another pair.
Yeah, dealing into, say, 3,900 is certainly
Would be
unfortunate.
significantly less than ideal. Your only concern here is it's 4th place Ricci,
Right.
but it's not like you have safe tiles anyway.
It's unlikely you're dealing into a Mongon.
Yeah, it generally have to be some sort of weird Sanchuku for that to be the situation.
The Ricci does make it harder to see a 2 or 5 come out from the other players, though.
Right. That's one of the big advantages of Ricci is you're shutting down the other players. But if you have someone who's desperately looking for things to call, it will shut down them from being able to do so. That is, unless you're the unfortunate person that draws them and discards them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the 369 pin getting cleared, but not the 2-5. So those will be retained in hand. Actually, only the 2s are locked up in Tucker and Matthew's hands. 5 pin yet to be seen. At this late stage, I'm not even sure Dustin will be able to find Tempai.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I mean, you'd take it just for the K10. And of course, you would even have the potential for Hote if that were to occur, but it's just not happening. That's a big question is where's that 5 pin? It'd be really sad for both of those to be dead walled.
We have seen it plenty of times. I have seen it.
South looks really suspicious here and says, yeah, let's not do that.
Does find the
We do see
safety
a
pin.
Tempai across the way
Oh,
with the upward
surprise.
Shumpon, 7-mon.
That's a
Oh
3-6.
no, that's a 3-6 weight. My bad.
So this can actually win on the Genbutsu 3,
Yeah, I
so
think I would have just reached that, but instead takes the Dama and we'll get the 1500. Michael gets 1500 as well. And move to South 2.
yeah, so Matthew collecting a few points to climb a little bit, but still needs a lot more. It's still 3 rounds to go, though.
Wow, already Ishanten for Chitoi Dora 2.
Okay.
No, oh, I don't like that South cut at all.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I'm never playing this as a regular hand. Never.
Well, it might work. There's a Kanchan fill if you see it that way.
You'd have to draw the 6-0 next. I guess you could consider it then.
So if you see the Hatsu, you can call. Okay,
Doesn't
this
matter.
is technically
Here's your
Tempai.
Ricci. And you get to wait on Sunso.
リーチ
Yeah, this is not Ricci Ipeko. This is Ricci Chitoi Dora 2.
And there are 2 3-so left in the wall. The problem is that 3 looks really suspicious with that pond. It was that last tile, you see the potential Urasuji, that it could very well have been a 4-5-7.
3-7 so discarded already. Probably wasn't something like a 7-7-8 shape.
That's something you're always considering is why was that held until now? I said that 3-6 to me looks terrifying.
Yeah, of course, early reaches, it's harder to.
It's
make
always
judgments.
guesswork, but it's a question of what's your scale, what's your read on it.
Well, we see a second 3-so now drawn by Matthew, so only one remains in the wall.
I have an Ishunten for Itsu on the left. Could be just Itsu when needing the 6 and the the 6 mon and 3 pin. And now the 6 comes out. So now your 3 so weight looks a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the
Oh,
pond,
Tempai on the left. Dama is waiting on that 3 pin. Since there is no Yaku here, doesn't really want to chase down a dealer Ricci with Ricci Nomi 2 out. But you could go for the Honitsu if you're bold enough to cut the 2 and the 4.
that's generally not Tucker's
Nope.
style when we see the 1 mon come back out.
Fives Nakasuji. I figure that's getting pushed.
Still, Tucker technically has the better weight in the wall
Ooh, now this actually isn't a bad weight.
Each.
and takes it.
Yeah, and likes it. Yeah, with the 2 pin and East.
Oh, and the
Of course,
5
we know
comes
the
out.
East are both locked up. Yeah, it could be. Well, I guess you throw the 5 first. We'll throw the 4s and the 5s. That may actually be enough to get to the end of the hand.
And no need to push anything dangerous until you absolutely have to.
Yeah. You should be throwing the 5. Oh,
Boom.
but doesn't. Throws the 2 and will deal in to the Ricci. No aura. And honestly, if you're Lucas, you're fine with that. You don't want to give Ennui a whole bunch of points, but it does shut down the dealer Ricci and put you in a pretty good position to get second, with a chance for first, as you were dealer in South 3 with an Uncle of the Southwind.
Door
Great
acceptance.
starting end here. Yeah, you can pull in the Dora 5 pin. You have a 4 pin in your hand, and you don't have your 5 blocks yet. So lots of ways to increase the value here. On the right, maybe a 6, 7, 8 Sanshuku. You're gonna have to do some shifting to make anything out of that hand. Across the way, we see 2 Dora and a Hatsu pair, so that's very much a call and go. And on the left, maybe a 79 Sanshuku, maybe an Ipeiko in Upper Mon. You do that Penchon 8-9 so to take care of, though.
Lucas drawing the Anko the 1 so and collecting, discarding a mass of honors and terminals and wondering maybe I should have been going Junchan this whole time, or Chanta this whole time. But sticks with the standard hand.
There is the call of the Hatsu with 2 Dora. You generally don't have to think very hard. We definitely cut the 4 on here. Yeah, there it goes. Unless you keep your Ryoncon and the Dora acceptance. The 4 doesn't really do much for the hand right now. Of course, then you're going to draw 3 and 5 the next 2 turns. Well, you are Tempai. Do you dare take the 9 so Ricci? I think you just Dama. Like Dama cutting 9 so. Instead, does go ahead and take the Tunky on the 9 so. You do have a bunch of value in this hand, actually. Ricci and then the South, so that would be 50 Fu.
Chi.
There's a Chi for Tempai across the way, waiting on the 4-7. For Hatsudora 2. And if you're Ennui, you should just be pushing. Doesn't matter how bad it looks. Just push. And does. I can tell that Ennui was not happy about pushing that 5, but it's the right play. Oh, the 9 does come out. The hand tries to regress, and that will be 4,800 if there are no aura. There aren't, and that will be a nice little chunk of change for Lucas. Certainly within striking range of first now. Oh my goodness. That is a disgusting hand. I'd cut 2 pin.
Really?
Yeah, that's how greedy I am with a hand like this. Well, it doesn't matter now. You see all 4 Junes out.
Like, yeah, I made the right choice.
On the right, we see the South pair. That is the double Yakuhai and the Dora. So, whole bunch of value there. Across the way, we have the Anko of the Hatsu. And on the left, we have what's left. 3 great starting hands. And then Dustin is basically going to be a spectator this hand, most likely.
Lucas was desperately hoping to find Tempai before the West came out. Now it's once cut. Still not a bad weight, but... Oh, and here's the second. Well, that's unfortunate.
Pom.
Just calls for the Tempai here.
Yeah, just takes the one Han. Now, if you draw another couple Mon tiles, maybe you go for the
Don't.
Onitsu, but I just take the win.
Yeah, was going to be a sparkling reach, early
You
reach.
do get a direct hit, so that's actually a pretty big deal. So now a 100-point split between first and second. Deer has a Pinfu type hand. Shapes aren't great though. On the right, my goodness, what are these starting hands with the honor pairs? We've seen so many of them today.
Pom.
We
Yeah,
have
he
a
says
pair
yes.
of East, a pair of White Dragons, a pair of Green Dragons, maybe Honitsu in there. Across the way, a few pairs, but an above average starting hand, just not compared to what we're seeing elsewhere. And on the left, a whole bunch of pairs that is definitely a Chitoy hand. And now you pull a Dorian, even more reason to go Chitoy.
Oh, a Pendron.
Ishuntan on the right.
One of these dragons has to come out, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you sold out on Chitoy, maybe you cut the
Boom.
4 or 8, but there it goes. And the thing is, if the Hatsu comes out, you can pawn it and cut the 8, or
Yes.
even the 5.
Pom.
I'd cut the I like the 5 cut, because now you do get Toy on the 6.
But yeah, that's a clever discard. I don't think.
No, you absolutely pass that. Do not even think about it. Like, I would probably switch if I drew a 9, but there's nothing else in that. Well, what if I draw Chun? Do you dare wait on the Shosangen?
I
Of course,
mean,
you had some experience with the Shosangen
just a
yesterday.
little bit. Yeah, both.
We weren't on stream, but there were 2 games back to back with some monster Shosangen, including one that was a dealer Baimon.
It was, yeah, pretty nasty.
Well, there's Chitoy Tempai on the left. Will Dama waiting on 2-pin for Chitoy Dora 2.
Lucas Stuck cannot discard any pin tiles. Also relegates Dustin to sticking with that 2-pin weight as well. If you draw
It
another
is
pin
Suji,
tile.
but you're not really trusting Suji against a hand like that. Ooh, now you have
Yeet.
Dora. That doesn't feel good to throw either. But you're like, if I have to throw Dora, I might as well smash the button. The 2-pin's actually a great way to. Oh, and I
Chun.
guarantee your heart just sinks a bit when you draw that Chun. Oh, that would be scary. In that situation, there would be a few expletives if you were sitting nearby.
Fortunately, it passes, and fortunate that Lucas has drawn. Oh, the
Sumo.
There's the Sumo, Richi, Sumo, Chitoy, Dora 2. Ura would be Baimon. Doesn't get it, but still a Hanemon, and that is very close to first place.
That's a tie.
It's a tie. That's very close to first place. Doesn't get any closer than that.
Oh, it's Matthew's turn. You gotta find some magic here.
Dealer has a Hatsu pair, and honestly, not much else. I think this is a call and go hand. I'm not seeing much value. Maybe you can keep it closed. That'd be great, but I think just take what you're given. On the right, looks like a Richi Pinfu hand. Across the way, looks like a Richi Pinfu hand, but it's really slow. And on the left, a Chun pair, and decent shapes everywhere, just no value. But we are in all last. The question is, how do you get enough to get past that 35-7? If you're Lucas, the answer is you probably don't, because Michael probably ends up winning this hand. There's a whole bunch of options for which Ishunten you want.
Yeet.
Oh, Tucker gets there
But
first.
the Tempai on the right for Richi Nomi waiting on 2-5 Mon.
This does drop you temporarily into second, so if Matthew can win this hand, you do lose that Ricci stick. And Matthew's just got to go for it.
Oh yeah, Matthew should be full sending everything.
Pom.
Dustin willing to fight as well. Sort of half
Now,
Suji.
Lucas is trying to find a way to get this to Chitoy.
7
And Dustin says, well, this hand isn't going anywhere, so I might as well just start calling and tracking it down. Oh, there's Tempai waiting on 1-4. The 4 is Gimbutsu, so, and the 1 Suji. So pretty good chance that comes out. Ishunten for Chitoy on the left now.
5 tiles in the wall for Matthew to win on. 5-4 Tucker. Which one will come first?
4 doesn't help. Now, it actually could be a real problem for Luke. Oh, well, doesn't matter. That's going to deal in.
Fair play. The first Ricci wins. Ricci 1 Uda found, but the important part is that the win will lock up first place for Tucker.
First. And Matthew takes a big 4th here. We'll have to pay out the full -20. You have 3 players over 30,000. We have Ennui leading the pack here with 23.3. Dustin at 10.7, Lucas at 2.3, and Michael with the -36.3. And you see the updated stats there on the right, and that moves Dustin into the promotion zone. Ennui extends his position up the way to 3rd place. I believe another game. The question is, has the other group started?
Yeah, they're about a minute away from second game of this table.
Yeah, the other group has not started, so we will be watching the second game of this group.
And that's about 60 seconds away. It's kind of nice to see a whole group of A2 matches. It's the first matches of A2, so we'll see the developments in the standings for a large portion of the league.
Yeah, we often jump across division just based on who's playing, but the answer is they're all A2 until pretty late. I believe there's a game for B1 starting in like 2 hours from now.
Yeah, we'll probably be unable to capture that one, but
here we are. These are the same 4 players as mentioned. And Ennui is in a pretty good position now. Dustin back to promotion zone. Of course, Dustin is the unfortunate victim of the absolutely brutal first season of A1, where the cutoff to demotion was ±0. We ended up at something like -8, and that was enough to drop to A2.
we're putting up a good showing here.
And the game starts. Dustin is the first dealer here. Well, that definitely feels like a 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Also can pull a Dora 7-pin in. On the right, Ricci Pinfu Dora type hands. Shapes aren't great though. Across the way, Ricci Pinfu Dora as well. But again, the shapes aren't great. A little bit better than the ones that Ennui has. And on the left, that is a much better hand. 2 Dora. Callable Tanyo if you want. Could also be Pinfu. Lots of options.
Even an outside chance at the Itsu and the So. But you'd prefer to be able to make the most effective use of that Dora. It could end up being the pair in the hand, should you build that direction.
You really want it to be the pair in the hand. If the 6 comes, if the 6-0 comes, I'm just calling it. Oh, that's like the worst draw, because you're like, oh, well, that's probably not the pair anymore.
Hey, the 7-pin can still be the pair. You just need to draw another one. Or draw an 8-pin, and now this is looking good.
I was about to say, your other option is drawing the 6 or 8-pin. May have possibly Peiko upgrade on top of everything else. This hand will likely be headless, though.
Right. Now, I'm curious to see if Dustin's hand will turn into the Chanta.
Wow, Michael's hand is getting scary.
Oh, that's Matthew, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew's hand is getting scary.
Ishunten.
Yeah, it is Ishunten. You could call the 8-pin if it comes, the 6-0 if it comes. You definitely call the door if it comes, but the others I'm not so sure. On the right, well, now we see the 9-mon cut. There's going to be a Chanta Sanshoku play. for Dustin.
Yeah, maybe senses that danger is in the other hand, so that are incorporating the Dora, so need to speed it up a little bit. For the 9-mon call, ringing some alarm bells across the table.
Well, especially with the other discards in the suit, you're going, why? Well, I can just Dama this, waiting for an upgrade.
Yeah, right now in a Tonki. It's so easy to just smash the button sometimes.
Shiny button.
But in this
Instead,
case,
yeah, takes the Tonki. We'll look for some sort of upgrade. And even if you win on this, you're fine with the 5200 for the Pico Door 2. That would be 410. You can't take that one.
none of the other hands really doing anything except for Dustin, so some time afforded.
Lucas is starting to come together, but a ooh,
Shampoo?
I think you just take it.
I guess it's the 789, isn't it? It's okay. You can win on another Dora, yeah.
That's just it. Is you're wondering, well, what else are you going to win on? And the answer is there isn't much. But if you don't take that one, what's the upgrade you're looking for? Like maybe a random Hatsu or Pei? Speaking of Hatsu, that would be about your only other option.
Yeah, what likely would have come out of Tucker's hand eventually. But this is not a bad weight, and technically you've got the Suji
Well, now
trap
you
on
have
the
a
8.
Suji, but I don't think you trust Suji near Dora.
Right now, Anmi has other tiles that are safe.
Let's see. So how many outs are left? You still have the 2 Dora, and that's all there is.
Anmi holding all the remaining tiles outside of those Dora.
Now we would generally not push this for basically any reason. So you're basically drawing to that 7-pin.
Yeah, still has 3 save tiles. That 8-so, the 1-so. So plenty of time to make 2 new Kyoku. And now a second south. So yeah, Anmi's pretty set as far as save tiles are concerned. Kanyu Tsumo. Where is that 7-pin?
You have 2 more chances. And we're still waiting to see where those other Dora are because they have not been seen. And Anwi is kind of tempted by the Chi toy and then says, wait, no, what am I doing?
Might be a little bit concerned about what Dustin's trying to put together, but... Oh,
Oh, I don't like that play at all.
that gives...
This gives
draw.
the last draw to Michael. No, I hate this.
Oh, no!
Oh, that's why! Oh my goodness, Richie! Sumo Haite Dora 3, no Ura, but that is 12,000, and that is why you don't con there.
The Haite makes it a Hanemon. And well, Dustin will eat the punishment for that as dealer. Takes 6,000 as a result.
I get the feeling you will see that clip later.
Yeah, a very instructive moment. And Tucker now... Well, Matthew with a great start. Tucker trying to overcome the slight deficit here as dealer. Starts with a pair of Dora and the Haku pair, so this is something to work with.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine with this. You just call a go. Even if it's just a Dora, you already have another pair in the hand. You don't really care if someone sees you have 3 Dora. On the right, looks like a pretty standard Pinfu hand, and that's where that Dora could come from, because it doesn't fit in that hand at all. Across the way, we see a pair of West, and great shapes in Mon. The question, you turn it into Honitsu. And on the left, maybe a 1, 2, 3 Sanjaku. The shapes aren't great anywhere, though.
The 8-so pair up, almost awkward for Tucker here. Do you want more pairs?
What about Chi Toy?
This is Ishanten, but...
I mean, if you get it, you'll take it. It's not ideal. I just call. Forget this.
Yeah, there's Toy outs even if you don't get the Haku
Wow,
immediately.
going for the Toy. I think I might have just cut the 8-so.
8-so definitely a difficult tile when being the Dora indicator already.
The other problem is now that you've called the 3 door, the question is, will the Haku be held? And yeah, there's your 1-pin backfire.
Yeah, so at this point, you'd be Ishanten waiting for the Haku. But again, the question would
Right.
be, is the Haku held? And at least the Toy Toy route, even if it does get held to eternity, you still have another out.
Yeah, it is certainly the advantage of doing it this way, but you need an 8, and there's only one of those left, and it's the Dora well, now you'd be Tempai. And it's the Dora indicator.
Yeah, I'm a little
Uh,
surprised about the 6-mon cut. 1 pin still gives you Toy Toy chances.
Oh, yeah, that's a backfire. Definitely should have cut the 1 there, especially with 2 of them out. They're
Oh, there's
keeping it as
Haku.
safe
Home.
tile. Okay, doesn't matter. Does manage to get it. And the 9-pin actually looks pretty safe against that hand.
Yeah, starting with a 7-pin, you'd expect the 9, and then discarding 3-2, you'd expect the
Even
9.
the 8 so looks pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, the early Suji trap,
Well, and because you called the Dora, why would you have 2 more in your hand?
right?
Or even just a random Tonki? What would it be there for? If you had like 9998, you'd be keeping that. You probably would be then waiting on the 7. But the 8's just a really rough tile to be waiting on. And with this 9 could come out from Dustin anytime.
Oh, Dustin looks like he's playing really safe, though.
Yeah, says, you know what? I don't think the Chitoy's that good.
The wall... Oh,
Folding.
is
Oh,
it Khan?
Khan.
Like, you have to con,
The
don't you?
north is the new Dora. Once cut, twice cut, 3 times cut. So it's not going to affect this hand. The wall keeps tempting Dustin. This is Ishanten, and the 9
Boom.
comes out.
Deals into Haku Dora 4, and Ennui will close the gap significantly with Michael. And has another dealer turn here. Draws Dora on first turn, always the tie you want to see. Just looks like a Ricci Dora, maybe a 2-3-4 Sanshoku there as well, though. On the right, we see a Hatsu pair, and there's a third one. It will be called. So probably just a call and go hand for the 2 Han across the way. Looks like a 79 Sanshoku and a Dora on the left. Looks like just kind of Ricci, maybe an Ipeco, maybe a Chitoy. You have
Awkward.
4 pairs, but you really want to turn it into a Ipeco. Like that 4-mon would be a really good draw. No, I said 4-mon, not 4-pin.
Yeah, it is. You know, the shape in Mon is kind of nice, but everything else looks like Chitoy. Oh, Matthew keeps drawing well. This is Ishanten?
Lucas takes a pretty aggressive play here, but I guess it works out fine. You'd like to be able to keep the shapes, but if you can turn it into a Honitsu, great.
1.
But I think you take Tempai. Like, no messing around here. You were Rian in Tempai, technically, so I guess that makes sense.
I think if you're
And that
Matthew...
9-mon just feels like it's going to come out of Ennui's hand.
Yeah,
If you draw like 7, so then it's just going to come out.
no
Now, if you
hesitation
draw,
from Lucas on that one, so did not even consider shifting to the Honitsu.
yeah, well, now you're at the end of the first row. This is kind of when you say, I'm a little concerned.
Now, if Dustin commits to the Chitoy here,
We'll go for the Chitoy. And now we also have Ennui pulling Ishanten. Gets rid of the danger having cut that 8 so earlier. And Tempai across the way, a random Tonki weight on the 1-pin.
yeah, unfortunately, no Sanshoku here.
It is Ricci Dora. There is a Dora in there. Ooh, now that 2 could actually be very dangerous if Dustin draws a 1-pin, because now it's going to look super safe.
One chance. What are the odds? Apparently much higher than you'd expect. He's finding an alternate route, and here we go. Will that 9... Nice, not safe for the Ricci, though.
No, could throw the 5 as kind of a flex, but instead we'll throw the 2. And now you're seeing all those 2s, and I think this means that 1's going to deal in.
Yeah,
We'll buy
Ennui...
a turn with the 3-pin.
5 mon is safe. Oh, 3 mon instead.
4
There it goes. I guarantee you, I'd wait to look at that hand and went, what?
Well, surprise Tonki.
The random one-pin donkey hits the Orador. It's actually a pretty expensive hand. 5,200 just like that, a direct hit on first place, or at this point, second place, by first place, and pretty big lead opening up for Matthew. Dealer is Lucas, and that definitely feels like a Honitsu. The 100% Honitsu. I'm cutting 3-6 every time here. And Lucas says, yeah, I agree. On the right, also has a ton of Mon tiles, but maybe not quite enough for the Chinitsu. Crossway, a whole lot of So tiles. You can keep the option open there for a Honitsu or Chinitsu. And on the left, a whole bunch of pairs. Maybe a 5, 6, 7 Sanship is the better route, though.
Yeah, long decision for Lucas. Pon, Chi, just pass? Ends up deciding
Well,
for
you
the
have
Chi.
to call it. I think I would have pawned, but then you do have the overlap, needing the 2, 5, 8 Suji twice. So I can certainly see why that was cheated.
Yeah, perhaps envisioning a scenario where you end up on a Shampon 2-mon Haku, or you call the Haku and end up using the 2-mon as your pair later. Certainly seems to be okay at this moment.
Well, the question going to be what happens. Well,
Ooh.
and you're obviously cutting the pay, but now you have a whole bunch of, well, how do I progress this hand?
Yeah, might end up cutting 2-mon 2-mon.
Yeah.
Pon.
I think the normal cut would be the 6-mon first,
Oh.
but well, okay, now you cut the 2-mon 2-mon.
Ooh,
And
interesting.
Matthew's like, wait a second, that's my Chinitsu, that's my Honitsu type suit. What are you doing? I think I would have called that though.
I thought
I'd
you-
have just sold out and said, you want to do it? Let's go.
That allows you to be able to win the hand without getting the third tune. That is the Dora. A little bit difficult
Yeah,
to see.
Honitsu Dora 2 is good. Instead, keeping the option open.
I mean, this way, if you call the tune,
Well,
discard a Mon tile.
passes the Forso. Ooh, doesn't want to give up the information on the Atazuke.
And we'll see if Dustin does not discard the tune. It looks way too dangerous.
Yeah, so it ends up that you don't get any advantage of that happening now.
Well,
The only concern is you would have to push a Mon tile into this pawn, which would be pretty scary having cut a pair. But a lot of the time, a pair cut means Ishan 10.
Now, this is clever
But
from
not
Lucas.
always.
Holding...
Well, just draw it yourself.
And now the 4-7 weight looks really strong.
Yes. I could easily see that getting thrown.
Your
The
pawn...
only redeeming value for Dustin is that is a Chitoy and can use the 4 as a pair.
But even Tucker might discard 4-7 as a safe tile against Lucas's hand with 2 calls. And the question is, one of these 2 hands has the door. You just don't know which one. It's hard to play safe against both at the same time.
Well, there's your Tempai for Lucas waiting on the West and White Dragon. The West would be only Honitsu.
Sumo.
Oh, there's your Sumo. 7 so does manage to work out. And pulls in the 8,000 Sumo. And Matthew definitely making up for that last game at 55,500. Needs more 5s. Do we call that score a Doko? Sunshika Doko?
I mean, I think we can. We've just coined it.
Already, and Ishan 10 now would just be Richi Hatsu. On the right, we see a Chun pair and a Dora. Decent shapes everywhere. Across the way, looks like a 2-3-4 Sunshuku is the most likely. Could also get a regular One-So Dora on the left. Looks like Pinfu hand. Not too much else to say there. I think the big question is, when does Matthew draw something useful?
Yeah. Wind.
I think I might have even cut the 8 so there. Kept the East. But with one out, you can certainly see a reason to get rid of it now. And, well, there you go.
Reach.
That was the tile you wanted. And you look at that pawn, you go, what the heck am I supposed to throw?
Well, I can tell you 3 tiles, 4 tiles now. But outside of those, yeah, it is. How about a random dragon like the Hatsu?
Yeah, seems safe enough. I mean, they already threw 3 random honors. So
What are the odds
why
of
would
winning?
that deal into anything? And
Oh
this, like,
my goodness.
well,
Ipatsu,
okay,
bud.
I'm just disgusted. Does not get the Ipatsu because there was a call. We do get the extra foo, of course, from that. And at 63,300, and gets more pairs. Just 3 of them this time, but this definitely feels like a toy type hand. Just because the shapes aren't really coming together that well. Maybe you pull the 1-4 pin out, it's not. On the right, looks like a Pinfu hand, maybe a distant Sanchiku on the 789. Also a floating 3 Sodora across the way. Speaking of pairs, there are 4 of them. Maybe a shift to 789 Sanchiku, but feels a lot more like Chi-Toy to me. And on the left, a few pairs, but not as many, and you're just looking to call the Hatsu and go with it.
After picking up a couple connector tiles and a Dora, Matthew's hand looking a little bit more normal now. Now you can call the Haku.
Ooh, second Dora draw on the right. Now you just call for Tanyo.
Even chance at 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku for dealer? Oh, well, maybe not anymore. A little bit awkward to make use of that 2 and the 3 at the same time.
Yeah, the efficient cuts the 6. It never feels good, though. Could you lock in a pension like that? Could still, at least in theory, get the 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku. Call the Haku, cut the 3 pin, and then the 5, 6 later. Well, if you draw like 1 so, I think you go ahead and cut the 5, 6.
How do you feel about just 2 so or Haku cut?
Nah.
The
I want
benefit
that Haku.
of the 2 so cut is you can still make. Well, here we go. Oh, doesn't want it.
Does not believe in Sanchoku.
Each.
Oh, wow, fast reach.
This is the most efficient shape, I believe, but it doesn't do much. Oh, across the way, yeah, we have the Richi Nomi. Whole bunch of foo, but no value.
Unless you flip.
You have 2 Onko like that, or a San is your best friend.
Chi.
See the Chi there on the right, looking for specifically 4-7, thinking there's a good chance they come out. Yeah, if you're Math, you have no reason to fight this. Just let the others deal. And there's going to be the deal in. Ricci, Nora. Does get Ennui back over 30,000, move to South round.
And that's a bit of an accomplishment given that Matthew is over 60,000 points.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not happy with this, but I'm not mad about it either. Dealer here has a Dora and a Chun pair. Maybe a distant Honitsu on the right. Looks like a Ricci Dora type hand across the way. Maybe 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku. Really not liking much of anything there. There's the Chun call by the dealer. And on the left, looks like a Pinfu hand, but not a very good one. Like a very distant Ipeco option, but I'm not seeing much there. Dealer definitely seems to have the advantage here. Dealer could even turn this into a 2, 3, or 4 Sanchoku if you get the very specific draws. But, ooh, fun one with that. Now the question is which 240 you cut. Oh, I don't like that 5 at all. I'm thinking I kind of like the option for the Honitsu backup. I definitely cut the 2 Formon instead for that reason.
Maybe deciding that they never want to get rid of the Dora Tuso, and so then it's just
If you've decided that, that's fine, but I think, well, okay, that solves your problem very quickly.
Yeah, right? Now you're willing to call
But
another
you would have
Tuso
ended up in
or
the same place
anything.
anyway. You do have slightly better shapes here, but that's only because you drew the 6-mon later.
Right, you could have easily drawn, say, the 9-pin or any connector there. Likes the option to pull in here.
Yeah, generally you have this.
Gee.
Ooh, I don't
Hmm.
like that at all. I don't like keeping. It's not even a safe tile. That's my problem with this. Is who's the 7 so not going to deal into? And punished.
Of course, the draw order would have changed a little bit, but
Yeah.
it does feel bad when you make a decision and then you immediately draw the tile, even if you wouldn't have drawn that otherwise. Okay, we have
Okay,
Tempai.
it does get back to Tempai anyway. We'll be way down the. Oh, takes the very greedy Champon weight here.
It needs to be
with
because of the
the
Foodie 10.
All right, because of the 4 cut earlier. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense then. So this will be Chu, Dora 2 or 3. If you went on the 6-mon, it will be 40 Fu. Of course, you went on the 2, so it's Mongon, so it doesn't matter.
Still 1 Tuso left in the wall, and the 6-mon available as well.
Each.
So, well, I guess it doesn't matter as much now. I was going to say if you...
Oh!
Uh-oh.
Oh,
That's just going to deal in.
you
I don't see how you
just-
avoid it.
Don't.
yeah. No matter what you do.
Ricci, Ipatsu, Dora. No Uradora, but that's a direct hit by 3rd on 4th, and I just don't think you can avoid that. I say the only ways you could have avoided it were decisions earlier in the hand, but when you're that's there, it's over. So nothing wrong with that deal. And as far as I'm concerned, move to South 2. Dealer is Ennui. Has great shapes here. You have a few extra honors you want to get rid of. We'll go if you pair any of them up. You just call and go.
Of course, the floaters
On
are
the
very
right.
nice.
Yeah. On the right, we have a few pairs. Honestly, not much. That's one of those, the more I look at it, the more I get you. Well, a 4-pin helps a little bit, but you still have so many extra tiles here. You'd have across the way. You see the Shaw Call. You also have a Dora. You do have some overlap needing the Dora indicator twice, though. That's never a good feeling. And on the left, the shapes are there. The values... No, I take it back. The blocks are there. The shapes are not. So as far as I'm concerned, I see a decent dealer hand and a whole bunch of garbage.
Now, we see Matthew shifting away from that overlap, even perhaps willing to discard Dora. Doesn't need the value at this point, just kind of wants to end this game.
Yeah.
And, wow.
Well, okay, just draw the door indicator yourself. Okay, that immediately fixes that hand. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do that, that's perfectly fine. You're sitting in this lead. What you really want to do is knock Ennui under 30K. Like, that's your goal, even though it is only South 2.
Yeah, 1,000 point direct hit. It's good enough. 2,000 is even good enough. So you can sumo here and accomplish that goal.
Sumo would do it. You still have 2 more hands to deal with.
Done.
The problem is last deal, but there's your deal in for 2,000.
Fast South 2. Unfortunate for
Matthew
Ennui, who really
expands
wanted
the
to make
lead.
really wanted to put some points up.
I can tell you from here, Deal has a couple of good shapes in the actual suits, but so many extra honors here. So it comes down to, can you draw Tanya tiles? On the right, decent shapes, but not much value there either. Really need the 4-pin. Across the way, Chun pair, maybe you distance 7, 8, 9 Sanshoku, but not great. On the left, definitely look for that 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku Tanyao.
Question for you. With Lucas's High Pie was a completed sequence, a couple Yamen shapes and a floater, and all these honors. Do you ever like discarding the value honors, the dragons, the your wind, instead of these, the west, the north, the non-value honors, so that you can aim for more Pinhu pairs, potentially?
No.
Value just the ability to pair a Yakuhai and go. Especially as dealer, there is a lot of value in getting continuance.
And that's just it, is even if you pair the north up, you're even happy about it. So you're looking at this hand, you'd be on Richinomi waiting on the 2-pin. But as you pair up the east pair, then you can call it, and you can call the 2 potentially.
Here we see a fast Tempai from
Yeah,
Tucker.
that's not going to happen as those twos are very much locked up in Tucker's hand here for Tanya Nomi.
And even if it's just 1,000 points, that still is increasing the distance above 30,000. So you can eat a Tsumo maybe in the future and still finish with a positive score.
Yeah, it'd have to be a Mongun Sumo.
Four pairs to the right. Probably not going to end up being a pair's hand. Dustin desperate for something here, but the wall not providing. Maybe we'll shift to Honitsu at this point.
Nah, it just seems like a Tanya shift, which is perfectly fine here. You can also chi the 4-7 pin, which is what you're really hoping for. Oh, that's just going to deal it.
Another fast hand. Lucas loses the dealership as a result, and we move to all last.
And so everyone here kind of has their own incentives. The roughest position is actually Lucas. Dustin's is very simple. Keep Lucas under 30K. Matthews is knock Ennui under 30K, and Ennui's just stay over 30K. This is one where the placements really aren't likely to change this hand, so everyone's playing that floating Uma game.
Dustin's hand.
Well, I like that hand on the right a lot. Ooh, passes going for Chitoi,
Ishan 10.
Honitsu, Dora 2. It is Ishan 10. Dio has a pretty good starting hand, just nothing compared to that.
You do have to find Tenpai and Chitoi. So hard to do that.
That's
if you draw,
always the hardest part of Chitoi.
If you
It's
draw
the
the
hardest
door
part of any
here,
Tenpai, but it feels so bad on Chitoi.
Which weight do you take after drawing Dora?
I mean, you take the Dora.
But presumably, if you drew the Dora, 1 or 9, and do you Ricci?
I'm not taking Dora Suji. I don't know about you.
Fair. Oh, okay.
Now I think he's playing normally. Yeah, that's going to be how it works.
Very efficient shape.
Ricci Ipeco, potentially, even.
Dora 2, Honitsu, double south.
Meanwhile, dealer's like, well, I'm getting very close myself. I'm looking to pull an Itsu or even a Chinitsu.
That's Tenpai? Okay.
Yeah, it's Tenpai. It's an ugly one. So I think I would have thrown the stick in. Reaching on the 5. Oh, there's your 6. Yeah, we'll take it. Now you also have the option if you're Dustin for the Sun Uncle. Let's say you draw a 3-mon here.
Mm-hmm. There's a south.
Oh, well, you could
Eat.
reach this, or you could go for the goods. Won't do it. Oh, goes for the cheap shape. Oh, the west is the north is dead. Now this makes a lot more sense.
So we have Ricci, Honitsu, double south. Oh, the 8's not going to deal in. That's not a Yaku. And the Hatsu. And a Dora.
Yeah.
So we're sitting at Baimon.
Ricci, Honitsu, Dora, double south. Yeah, it's Baimon either way, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And the Sumo!
Well, there's your Sumo.
Oh my goodness.
The question is, can we see Samura?
Show us the Ura. Come on, Ura-san. Oh, not there, but
Womp,
still.
Womp.
That
But
is
you'll still take the 17,000. I believe that's ennugh for 3rd place.
It is. What an incredible
Lucas
comeback.
has to just going, what just happened?
Baimon.
Similarly, is like, what just happened?
Baimon on demand.
And Matthew's like, I just lost a bunch of points, but at least I guess I got over everyone else under 30K, so it's not a huge loss. Pays out the 8,000, but ends up netting 5, so gaining 5, so net of -3. And that's going to be the end result here as Matthew gets pretty close back towards 0 with this 46.3. Ennui with a second there at -2.2. Dustin with that monster Baimon on the last hand takes the only -16.8. And Lucas just, you're looking at it going, what just happened? With the -27.3.
And they will have a little bit of time to reflect upon that hand, as that is the end of the series for this table. There is one more A2 table that has started a match. And we will
We just
switch.
saw the game results come in for that game
Oh.
too, so it must have been super short, and it was.
Only 24 minutes?
Yeah, it
Impressive.
says 26-32 here.
And what was the result for that table?
Aldwin with 37.9, Garrick at 13.0, Alex with minus 14.2, and Rachel at minus 36.7.
All
So
right.
we will try and catch their second game now. So let's head there.
Sure thing. It looks like they have yet to begin, in fact, perhaps taking a moment to analyze that last game, take a bit of a breather. So we'll have at least 5 minutes before that starts. Perhaps it is a good time for us as commentators to take a quick break ourselves, and we will be back with the final game from the A2 set as soon as it begins.
All right. Well, it sounds as though the last game from this session is going to get canceled for today. One of the players isn't feeling well. We wish everyone uh, be healthy first. Taking care of yourself is always the top priority. And especially when you schedule games early in the session, this is one of the advantages. If something comes up, you're not forced to overexert yourself. So we're just going to go ahead and end here. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Of course,
This is do all the obligatory plugs: Twitter, the website, YouTube, follow here on Twitch, all that good stuff.
everything's here on your screen.
And so for Nathaniel, this is Korak from the American Reach Mahjong League signing off.
Thanks for watching.